G'day guys, Will from Rosebud Mowers. As promised, I'm going to be starting to do a series of how-to and repair service videos for you guys, the contractors. So right here we have a Honda HRU216. This is an absolute contractor favourite. We're going to do some basic maintenance, oil change and blades. Okay, this is what you guys should be doing every month or so during the cutting season. I firmly believe that you should be changing your oil every blade change, if not more. So we're going to do a quick rundown on how to do this. Pretty much going to take no more than 15 minutes. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is warm this mower up. There's no point trying to drain a mower when it's got cold oil in it. So, fire the bad boy up, grab a beer. By the time you're done your beer, if you drink like me, the mower will be warm enough. Switch it off and drain your oil. Now the way that we're going to do it for you guys at home and for the guys that don't have the service kits is we're going to use the tip over method. Now, I don't usually recommend this method, but a lot of you guys don't have siphons like we do here at the workshop. However, if you jump on mowermerch.com.au, we do have the full service kits for this mower available, including spark plug, oil, air filter, and we have also a siphon kit as well, so you guys can easily siphon the oil out of any of your mowers. All right, so what I'm going to do is head around the other side of the mower, all right, and we're going to drain that oil out. Okay, so what we've got here, guys, is our drain tray. Just a simple little container here to dump our waste oil in. Our mower is nice and warm. I'm going to go ahead and undo our dipstick. Put this in your pocky. Maybe not, because your wife might get a bit upset at you. I'm going to put it there anyway. All right, I'm going to hold my drain tray up to the mower, nice and close as I tip, allowing the oil just to drain nice and slowly into my mower. And I'm going to bring it over until it gets to the point where it just rests down on the handles without making an absolute mess everywhere. Okay, it's going to sit there and drain for a couple of minutes. While I'm doing this, it's the perfect time to change your blades. So, head with me over the other side of the mower. All right, guys, so we've got the mower tipped over, draining the oil right now, and as you can see, I did not expect this when I was filming this video, that these blades are in perfect condition, but I'm going to do this anyway, just for you guys. So I've got my trusty impact gun here. No, you don't need this. It just makes the job a hell of a lot easier, and I don't feel like busting my knuckles up using a spanner today. So just imagine me using a spanner if you don't have an impact driver. 14 mil for Hondas. Don't use anything else because you will round these bolts off so easy, it's not funny. 14 mil. And let's ugga-dugga away. Oh my God! I slipped a little bit. Next one. Okay. Blade plate, perfectly off. We're gonna chuck it up in a vise. If you don't have a vise, you can just do this on the ground, just like so, but I do have a vise and I'm gonna make my life heaps easier and do it because my foot hurts on the ground right now. Okay, so I'm fortunate enough to have a bench vise that I use to clamp my disc in. No, I don't squeeze the absolute buggery out of this. It's just nipped up tight enough that it's just sort of going to hold the disc there for me, just to make my life easier. Now, I've got an array of tools here. I don't expect you guys to have all of these tools. I love my little Makita impact driver, and I run a brass wire brush in them. You can just get these from any hardware store. Now, the reason why I run these, I use them to clean up the bolts and the discs. I actually sort of used it when I was undoing the blade bolts, and it would have caused less slip when I was undoing the bolts. However, you know, I can't think of everything all the time. So I'm just going to run this as I'm not even left-handed, but I'm going to give it a crack. It hit me in the face a little bit. Okay, just to clean up that bolt. Super hard doing it left-handed. If you don't have an impact driver, you can just use a wire brush. Not as fun. All right, once you've got them cleaned off, we're gonna go ahead and use a cordless little impact key, or you can use a ring spanner, or try and avoid open end spanners because if you like the skin on your digits, open enders tend to slip. Okay, again, I got the right tools. So I'm gonna bang away and take my blade off. And I'll just pick up that washer I just dropped. Now, Hondas are generally like most push mowers with swingback blades. There are some differences with the combination of how the spring washers or tensioning washers go on. Hondas are pretty much the same as like your Victors or Rovers. Your mass ports, the tension washer goes on the underside of the blade, but most go in between the disc and the blade. So if you come over here, I will show you how we are going to put this beautiful little nut and bolt assembly together. Okay guys, so we've got our 5 components that we're going to need to fit blades up on a Honda today. I am just going to reuse the same blade I took off because there was nothing wrong with them, and I'm just doing this to show you guys. So what I've got here is I've got the new bolt, the new tension washer, the new lock nut, and I'm just going to reuse the old D-washer. Now traditionally these are not used on Hondas, I just ran out and I'm just going to use a Rover one because it's just the same thing. I do advise using all new hardware, except the D-washer because that's really not structural. But I would always advise using a new bolt, new tension washer, and a new nut. Okay, now again with our Makita, I will clean both sides of the mating surface of the disc to ensure that the swingback blade can move nice and freely when mounting. So, I'm going to put my bolt through, and then I'm going to put my tension washer with the wings facing down. Now, you can put a little bit more tension on these friction washers or tension washers if you like, to cause a little bit more friction in your blade. However, I'm usually happy with how they come from factory, so I'm going to whiz bang that on. Now it's going to then go up here onto our blade disc, just like that. We're going to add our D-washer, add our nut, and we're just going to then tighten this back up. Now, I never advise doing nylocks up tight with an impact gun. I always finish them off by hand. All right, so I just get it to bite, and I'm going to use my ring spanner where I'm going to just tighten it until I feel tension, and then just making sure our blade still moves freely. I'm then just going to go a little bit more, nice and tight, and now swing back blade is moving freely and is all ready to go. Now what I'm going to do before I put this disc back on the mower, I will clean up the rest of the disc because I have it off, and then mount it back on the mower, where then we'll do it back up and finish our oil change. Okay, so we're back down here at the mower, and we're going to make sure that our clutch is all free of contamination. We've got no debris that is going to get stuck between the disc and the clutch. Our threads are nice and clean. There's nothing stuck around it, any wire behind the clutch, any rope, etc. Mount the disc back on, and we're going to make sure that the bolt holes line up perfectly and it's not sitting off to one side, because this will cause a fair bit of vibration through the system. Get our bolts in as far as we can go on both sides. Okay, making sure we're still lined up, which we are. Don't drop the washer. Whiz bang it in. I'm going. All right, now you don't need to do them up so tight that you're going to snap them and then have a great time getting a broken bolt out. So, again, if you do this by hand, by feel, I've done this enough time to be able to know when my impact gun's good. Give him another one. Very good. Good. All right, and we're done. All right, guys, so we've done our blades now. That's given the mower ample time to drain its oil. I've cleaned up my dipstick with a bit of brake cleaner. I've got my 600 ml of oil ready to go in my jug, and I've got my handy dandy funnel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the mower back up now, take the tray away with the waste oil, give it a bit of a wipe with a rag, and then top up our oil. So give me 2 seconds, I'll get the mower planted down, get organised, and we'll be right with you. Alrighty, so I've got the mower back on 4 feet. I've given the internal part of the dipstick a really nice wipe out with my rag, and I'm just going to add my funnel in there. Now, I have been told that I say whiz bang too many times, so I'm going to whiz bang some oil into it now. So bear with me while I grab my oil and put it into the mower. Now, you may also notice that I do something weird that most shops don't do. I don't know, I just think in a different way, I reckon. I actually dye my oil. I'm a bit of a weirdo. I dye my 1030 green. It's for a couple of reasons. I can't see clear oil in the sun, and it really annoys me. Because every time I go to check oil and it's sunny outside, on a white dipstick or a metal dipstick like the Kawasaki's or Hondas, I can't see clear oil properly. So I add a specialized oil dye that I buy from our oil manufacturer, which really helps me. It's fantastic. So if anybody else out there has, thinks it's a good idea, just ask the guys you buy the oil off. All right, so I got 600 mil in a measuring jug here. I'm gonna start with 500, purely based on the fact that if we didn't get all of the oil out to start off with, I don't wanna then overfill it with oil and then have to try and drain it out because it is a little bit of a pain. A little bit more. All right, trying to make a mess when you do this, chuck that in there and give it a bit of a dip, dip, dip. All right, perfect. So, we could go a little bit more. You do have to be careful when double checking oil on a pushy because sometimes it does stick in the dipstick hole and it does just give you a false reading. So if that's the case, give it a bit of a wipe out, make sure it's nice and clean. Dip, dip, dip. All right, perfect, absolutely spot on. What we're gonna do now is run our mower and then double check our oil because that is important. Other things you can be doing whilst doing a blade change and a oil change is you can take your air filter off. If you have an air compressor at home, you can blow it out. Don't try not to keep your air compressor gun too close because you don't want to open up the fibers of the paper. Other than that, guys, try and keep your mowers clean. Obviously, these are an expensive piece of kit. Honda's, like, there's so many different moving parts that we have with these mowers. So obviously, you know, keeping the, the contamination of the packing of grass around the gearbox nice and clean. Again, if you've got an air compressor, I mean, it's just a game changer. Most guys don't, but if you're thinking about doing a lot more servicing yourself at home, jump on Facebook Marketplace and see if you can find a decent air compressor in your area with good airflow, because air nozzles will take up a buttload of air. Or obviously go and buy new, I like Macmillan air compressors, that's what we sell here, and service them. I'm a big fan of them. But otherwise, jump on Facebook Marketplace and see if you can just find a decent secondhand air compressor, because it will change your life with maintaining and doing preventative servicing or preventative maintenance on your equipment. Other than that, guys, it's Will from Rosebud Mowers. Any of the parts that we've used here today, oil, blades, siphoning kits, spark plugs, air filters, you can all find it on mowermerch.com.au. And of course, if you spend over 150 bucks, it's free shipping. So good. Have a ripper day, guys. We'll speak to you next time. G'day, guys. It's Will from Rosebud Mowers. I probably shouldn't be sitting on this mower, so I'm going to get off and take this take again. It looks like you're in a dark dungeon. Boobies. Well, you're going to have to cut that